Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back here to Light to the Nations. It's a blessing, like always, to be with you here in the continuation of the Torah portion.
Yeah,
And we are in the book of
Bemidbar, in the desert,
in the wilderness,
Yeah,
exactly.
in the wilderness.
And today we're going to continue with the study of the portion called Shelach, that it means send by yourself. And this is going from the chapter 13 to the chapter 15. And it's such a blessing to see many of you here connected and joining us. Thank you so much to be with us here. I see Camila, I see Annie, I see Corina, I see Willem.
He did the sign.
Yeah, Shannon, Michael. It's a blessing. I see Pam as well, and many of you here connected with us. Tiana Hernandez, welcome to the family here. And it's a blessing, as I always said, telling you to have this opportunity to gather ourselves virtually in Shabbat and to study the word of YaHuWaH. We have made that decision, and it's not because we want to play with the time. And though sometimes I like to make the laugh, to make Annie laugh in the same way that she likes to make me laugh. I was just reading the comments. Because I noticed last week our brother Adam from Parable of the Vineyard, he started to do some broadcasts of the Torah portion, similar timing. So in order not to put some conflicts on the time, we decided to delay it in 30 minutes and the usual timing of this broadcast. And so that's why we repeated this week, and most probably we will continue keeping it at this time, just to make sure that we are, and especially you, if you are joining the Parable of the Vineyard as well, you have the chance to participate in the two gatherings, in both gatherings. That's the reason behind the decision. So I'm just sharing it with you openly, and just to understand why we are changing it and why we are going to keep it at this time. Okay. So, having said that, last week the broadcast was interrupted somehow in an unexpected way at the end. I wasn't expected that, actually. I don't know if YouTube changed a little bit the policy of the copyright, because it never happened to us before. So I haven't had the chance to take a look in the new policies of YouTube. If I have a chance, I will take a look. But I hope that we are not going to have the same situation. And just for you to know, when you are broadcasting in YouTube, depending on the amount of subscribers and the views, YouTube is giving you the possibility to monetize videos. We are not doing this in Light to the Nations. We are not monetizing any video. And what I heard in the past, that when the people are monetizing videos, it happened to be that these kind of things are happening in terms of the copyright of the music and things like that. So for us was a kind of a weird situation, because we are not monetizing, that we have this interruption of the broadcast. So I do believe that this could be related maybe to some changes in the policy of broadcasting here in YouTube. So if you see this happening in the future, I hope it's not going to happen again. But if you see this happening, you know that this is related to YouTube and nothing related to the way that we are broadcasting the videos. Now, we need to get used to these kind of things, because, the rules of the game are changing. And we were taking a look in few videos, more than videos news this week, that there is a strong push on the regulating the discussions and the messages in the internet platforms. I'm being very careful on what I'm saying. In internet platforms, there is a strong push that is coming from the important global institution, that are basically providing some kind of guidelines that they're pushing to be implemented in terms of how everybody, population, the private companies and things like that, should behave on the interaction in the internet platforms. Okay, So I do believe what we are seeing and what we experienced last week is a kind of a glimpse, is as an evidence of what things are going to happen. Is going to be a little bit more complicated in terms that we'll see more regulation coming. And so we need to be attentive, we need to be careful, we need to be wise in the way that we are providing content, we are providing and having this kind of studies and the topics we're discussing, because even Yahushua, when he sent to the disciples, he was instructing them to be wise, even wise as serpents, he was saying. So we need to be wise in these times, but important to say is that together of being to be wise, we cannot stop of spreading the truth. Every time that we have the chance to speak about the truth, we need to do it, because this is our calling, this is our purpose on the kingdom of YaHuWaH. This is what it means to be a witness. So we cannot be afraid. We need to be wise, but we should speak the truth in the same way that Yahushua, even in his time of troubles, when he was arrested, he was in front of the nations with Pilate, he was speaking the truth.
Yeah.
So we have to follow his example. So you want to say something?
No, that is interesting, because I was telling you that it's interesting to see the parallels that we are living in all the situations that Yahushua and the disciples they were experiencing maybe persecution in a different way. Maybe now is what the things that we want to share, and it's going to be a point that we are going to be I don't know, like silenced. So we have to be prepared, and we have to use the time that we have in our hands now very, I don't know, to take advantage of that. And I don't know, feed our souls and our spirits, our ruach, with all the bread that we have here. So
absolutely, that's what we need to do, and we need to acknowledge as well that the time to time is difficult. I know that some of you are going through tough times in terms of emotional and spiritual point of view. Believe us, we are going through the same. This week was a complicated one for me, because it's just like being with the one foot here and the other foot here, and then being pushed to go to the direction that I don't want.
And you are seeing what is going to happen very soon.
And when you are able to see what's coming, and you have this struggle within you that you want to detach 100% from this thing, and you are not able to do it soon. This is what I said last week, and most probably was the same feeling of Israel when they were the slaves in Misraim, in Egypt. They wanted to be removed from that place, but the Abba had a plan and the perfect timing. And this is exactly what we need to... We need to stay strong and faithful to YaHuWaH and do whatever is in our hands in order to be in the light most of the time and all the time. And if we are being dragged to the darkness, be attentive that we are in the world, but we are not of the world. This should be our mindset.
Yeah, and now it's more clear even to understand Shaul, what he was speaking, that he wished them not to be from here, but he is here. And he is receiving and living in the flesh all the other side things. So, yeah, some people... Yeah.
That's true. So that should be our mindset. That should be what we are pushing forward, is to keep ourselves and do it until the end with our faith up here, asking Abba to sustain us as he always does. And in the times that we are falling down, is to look for support from our mishpacha, from our family. And maybe we're not all together, but it's just a matter to contact us and to see what we can do and support, at least with prayers for one another.
We have to pray, for one another, and for all those that we are not seeing here in the gatherings lately, but they are in our hearts, and we're praying for them. We miss them, and we are praying that they are doing I don't know, the best possible.
Yes, and I just saw the comment from Camila with that we will hear soon. We have to go now. That's true, and I think you owe us somehow
No,
some more details of what you heard. But I can tell you that there are certain brothers that are already hearing this, and we need to be so attentive that the time is here. And we need to be attentive to the voice of the Ruach on what we need to do. So, interesting times that we are living, interesting times that are ahead of us. So we need to be prepared with our heart in the right place. And this portion, I think, is especially for that. What should be our attitude? What should be our heart toward YaHuWaH? And we are going to talk about that in a minute. I just want to ask you, because we were doing some changes in our audio settings this week, if you can confirm that you are listening to my voice properly, to Lillian's voice properly, if you can put the comments in the chat, I would really appreciate it. So, as always, we have a song to share with you before we start with study. And I found this one and I put the lyrics, and it's a beautiful song, but I never put attention on the wording, on the lyrics. And it's a beautiful one. So, and it's totally connected to what we said. So let me put the song here. Let's listen to what it says. Here we go.
הגענו לימים האחרונים, כל הנבואות כבר מתגשמות. יום אחד עובר והימים חולפים מהר, אלה הימים האחרונים. ליום ההוא כולנו מייחלים, נראה אותו חוזר בעננים, חוזר מביא שלום ומממש את התקווה, חוזר כדי לשפוט את הבריאה. אבא, עברו דורות שלמים ואתה נשארת נאמן. ישוע, אני אוהב אותך כל כך ומחכה לביאתך. הזמן עכשיו להתעורר, זה הזמן עכשיו להתכונן, זה הזמן עכשיו לצאת ולקבל אותו, זה הזמן למלא את המנורות, כי החתן יצא מחופתו משתוקק לפגוש את כלתו. אנחנו קול קורא כאן במדבר, פנו לו דרך הנה האדום. אבא, עברו דורות שלמים ואתה נשארת נאמן. ישוע, אני אוהב אותך כל כך ומחכה לביאתך. אבא, עברו דורות שלמים ואתה נשארת נאמן. לביאתך. ישוע חי והוא חוזר, הוא לא שכח את קלתו. ישוע חי והוא חוזר, ישוע חי והוא חוזר, הוא לא שכח את קלתו. ישוע חי והוא חוזר, ישוע חי והוא חוזר, הוא לא שכח את קלתו. ישוע חי והוא חוזר, ישוע חי והוא חוזר, הוא לא שכח את קלתו. ישוע חי והוא חוזר. אבא, עברו דורות שלמים ואתה נשארת נאמן. ישוע, אני אוהב אותך כל כך ומחכה לביאתך.
I told you.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I think that represents everything that we feel in our hearts, what we're expecting for. So let's pray.
Yeah.
YaHuWaH Elohim, we want to give thanks to you in this moment, and because of your presence among us, because sometimes with so small details, you light that fire within our hearts. We want to acknowledge your presence. We want to acknowledge you as the only true Elohim. And we are waiting for the return of our King, our Mashiach. We know that you are faithful. And we know that if you have said something, you will do it. In this time, we want to give our hearts to you. And we want to ask for forgiveness. You can forgive our sins. You can transform our hearts and our minds in order to be faithful to you in the same way that you are faithful to us. I want you to take us as your servants, that you can create in us a new heart, a heart that wants to follow you completely, a heart that the only thing it has is the desire to walk in your ways and to serve you in everything is your will. We pray in this moment that you can guide us in this study, that your presence be with us, that you, YaHuWaH, can guide us in your truth, that you, YaHuWaH, can prepare us for the service you have been calling us to do for your kingdom. The times that we are living, as the song was saying, is the last days. And you have chosen us to be your witnesses in these times. And we want to be prepared to fulfill your heart in these times, to serve you completely, to follow you completely. And sometimes we fail. Most of the time we fail. And we don't want to fail anymore, because you have decided in your wisdom to put us in these times, because you have prepared something great for your people, to be those witnesses, to bring your light into darkness. YaHuWaH, change us, give us of your spirit, that we can be as your son, as Yahushua in order to be light into this world. I pray for those of your people that are going through struggles, through difficulties, through trials, through sickness, that you can be with them, that you can be with all of us in order to be echad in you. We love you with all our hearts, O YaHuWaH Elohim. We trust in you, and our hope is in you. Thank you, Abba, because we can feel your presence in our heart, and we know that you are with us here in this moment. Guide us in everything we will do, because we do it for you, and we do it with all our heart for you. Thank you, Abba, for listening to our voices, and thank you for answering our prayers, because we lift our voices and our prayers to you in the mighty name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen.
You feel better now?
Yeah.
Yes, I feel better too.
Yeah.
We were not feeling that well before the broadcast.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I was telling you that all of us are going through struggles. And it's beautiful to see, and this is not the first time that it's happening, when we have the chance to gather together, even though that we are not physically together. It's something that Abba is doing in our hearts. It's like having Shabbat.
Yeah.
It's like having Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah.
It's removing everything that somehow is stopping the flow of His presence and His Ruach in ourselves. So let me share with you the parsha in 60 seconds and we will begin, okay?
Shalom and welcome to the Parsha in 60 seconds. Today's portion is from Numbers 13:1 through 15:41. It's called Shelach, which means send. So God tells Moses to send one of each of the 12 tribes of Israel to scout the land of Canaan. Among the scouts were Caleb and Joshua. They enter the land and cut down a branch with a huge cluster of grapes as well as some pomegranate and figs. They report to Moses that the land is very good. 10 of the spies claim that there are giants in the land, while Joshua and Caleb agree that it's not a big deal. The people freak out and try to stone the leaders, when all of a sudden God shows up and complains about the people to Moses. God threatens to strike them with pestilence, but instead God pardons them and commands them to wander for 40 years. After being commanded to go back into the wilderness, a small group decide to take a land without God. They fail. God tells Moses how to do flour and oil sacrifice and how to make offerings for accidental sin. A man violates Shabbat by gathering sticks and is put to death. God tells Moses to use string as a reminder to keep the law. Today, the string is known as tzitzit. And that is Shelach in 60 seconds.
Shelach in 60 seconds. Let me put the scripture here on the screen and we will begin right away. So we are going to Numbers, Bemidbar, chapter 13. And I should start or you want to start?
I don't know.
You don't know? I
We
will
didn't
do
practice.
it. Okay, I will do it. So open your scriptures, don't follow just what is written in the screen. I think it's a beautiful thing to open, especially in these times. We know that it's important to have a physical written word.
Yeah.
So open your scriptures and follow along with me. I know that sometimes it's not the same translation, but the bottom of the message is what it matters. So it says, starting in the verse 1 of the chapter 13, the following. And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe, saying, Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. Send one man from each tribe of their fathers, every one a leader among them. And by the mouth of YaHuWaH Moshe sent them from the wilderness of Paran, all of them men who were heads of the children of Israel. And these were their names: from the tribe of Reuben, Shammua, son of Zakur; from the tribe of Shimon, Shaphat, son of Hori; from the tribe of Yehuda, Caleb, son of Jephunneh; from the tribe of Yisachar, Yigal, son of Joseph; from the tribe of Ephraim, Hoshea, son of Nun; from the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, son of Raphu; from the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, son of Sodi; from the tribe of Joseph; from the tribe of Menashe, Gadi, son of Susi; from the tribe of Dan, Amiel, son of Gemali; from the tribe of Asher, Shethur, son of Michael; from the tribe of Naphtali, Nachvi, son of Wofsi; from the tribe of Gad, Geuel, son of Machi. These are the names of the men whom Moshe sent to spy out the land And Moshe, can you believe what Moshe did?
What he did.
It says there, Moshe called Hoshea, the son of Nun, YaHuWaH. It says Yehoshua there, but we know it's YaHuWaH. So I see that you have some notes there with some names and meaning. You want to share something before I continue?
Well, I was looking.
Sorry,
right now.
just taking a look in your notes.
Because now I did my homework and I put the translation of the name. And I think that it's going to be
Go
good
ahead.
if we can share them. We are going to read all the meanings of the words, of the names. Behold a son, renowned, mindful, heard, judge, cup dweller, praise, forcible, facing my hire, redeemer, YaHuWaH has added, fruitful, salvation, posterity, son of my right hand, my deliverance, healed, exalted, my luck is ill, my confident, YaHuWaH has added, causing to forget, my luck, my horse, judge, people of El, camel driver, happy, hidden, who is like El, wrestling, hidden or withdrawn, my addition, troops, redemption of El, decrease. So I think that is really nice to see. I don't know, for me it was like from the beginning, in all the names, he always have a plan for us, is to save us, to show us that he is our fortune. Is not our fortune, is not, in this case, when it says, my causing to forget, my luck, my horse, is like he is the one, he is my confidant, he is the one who is giving me fortune, and is going to make us to forget that everything was depending on us.
You know
that
what?
he's going to bring the salvation.
Yeah, if I take a look just on the name of the leaders, not
Yeah,
the rest,
yeah.
just the name of the leaders is a beautiful picture
Yeah.
because it says renowned judge, renowned judge,
Forcible,
forcible redeemer,
salvation.
salvation my deliverance, my lucky cell, my like, people of El, hidden, withdrawn or hidden again, redemption of El. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Every time that you read them, it's going to give you like a very special message, hidden message. So I like it.
I just saw the comment from Corina. I think Corina, you should share that information with the family here. I have them by tribe, by person, by son. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
picture. And I think we will go into the details here and what is being mentioned on the spies. And we know the story by heart, but this is so relevant to the end times. And because we see the 144,000 is coming also from the 12 tribes. They are being prepared to the restoration of all things by the hand of Yahushua. And also the fact that they are deciding each one of the tribes is that they are going to the promised land. This is that they are in the wilderness, but they are being sent by YaHuWaH to spy the land, to somehow to
explore,
to know, to prepare everything for conquering the land. So, and we see so many places in the scripture, in prophecies about the restoration of the kingdom in the book of Daniel. I don't know, we see the pictures of Yahushua sending the Talmidim to the world in order to bring the good news, in order to gather the fishes, in order to gather all the sheep, the flock, the entire flock. So I see this as a kind of somehow parallel, a foreshadow of that. And the only fact that even Moshe is changing the name of Hoshea to Yahushua, that somehow salvation is in both names, but it's changing the name that
it's pointing out.
exactly is that the salvation is coming from one source, one source only, and that source is YaHuWaH, is our Father. So that's a beautiful picture because it's also a foreshadow that through Yahushua ben Nun, they were able to conquer the land. And we were reading this when we studied the book of YaHuWaH or Joshua. But it's also a foreshadow of what YaHuWaH HaMashiach has been doing, is to prepare the ground in order to regather the 12 tribes of Israel and to bring the good news to the entire world. But also he is going to be the one that is going to lead us in order to conquer the land, in order to receive the inheritance. That's why it's so beautiful what the song was saying. We are so strongly waiting for his return that sometimes when we look back, it has been centuries, millennia, waiting for him. But we know that he's faithful all the time. It's just a matter to believe with all our hearts that he is coming back and he is going to lead us in order to conquer the land and to establish the kingdom. That's the most important thing. So let's continue. It says in the verse 17, and Moshe sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said to them, go up here into the south and go up to the mountains and see what the land is like and the people who dwell in it, whether strong or weak, whether few or many, and whether the land they dwell in is good or evil, whether the cities they inhabit are in camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are forests there or not. And you shall be strong and bring some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the season of the first fruits of grapes. So I'm going to ask this, and maybe in the chat you can mention, when is this season? When do you believe is this season? We have some ideas. We have two alternatives, but I would like to hear you in the chat. When do you think that happened? Because it says, and let me be specific in the question, in what Moedim, in what feast are we talking about? Because it says, now the time was the season of the first fruits of grapes. And this is, for me, is a key to understand the timing. When we talk about prophetic events, it's those are the times that we need to consider in the timeline of YaHuWaH. So let me see in the chat. We see first fruit of wine, so summer, Feast of Trumpets right after Atonement, and March and being of April, Shavuot. Okay, we see different options. Good, I like it. That's the way we are learning together. So I will tell you what is our take on this. It could be the first fruit. Haktirosh is the first fruit of wine. This is one option. And the other option is that this could be close to Sukkot. I personally believe that it's most related to the first one, Haktirosh. We have been talking about the first fruit of wine. We have these different additional feasts that we see in the Dead Sea Scrolls, that counting 50 days after Shavuot, then another 50 days, and we have this other feast, the Feast of the New Oil and the Feast of the New Wine. So I think everything somehow is pointing toward that this season was between Shavuot and Yom Teruah. And this is a beautiful thing, because somehow, let's put ourselves in the scenario. We know the story and we will read it, that the 12 tribes were coming with the 12 spies were coming with a good report. What was going to happen?
Everybody's going to.
They were going to gear themselves up with the battle gear. Let's go, let's fight, let's conquer the land.
We're ready.
And most probably they were going to conquer the land by the time of Yom Teruah. And this is a beautiful picture. If everybody was believing, most probably they were going to fight and conquer the land by the time of Yom Teruah, meaning that they were going to be celebrating
in Sukkot.
In Sukkot.
In the new home.
Exactly. So all this situation with the spy was before conquering the land, just to understand the ground, the people, and so on, exactly as Moshe was describing here in the book, in the portion. So thinking hypothetically in the timeline, that's a beautiful way to see it. They were going through the times, and that's why they were bringing also fruits on the time of the feast of the grapes, or new wine and new oil, in preparation for the fulfillment in the proper time and the proper moment. Okay. So let me see, somebody else put some comments here. So Hebrew coffee, Shabbat Shalom. Oh, yes, I like it. Okay. Okay, I have noted in my Bible that they returned from spying around May 14.
Because they were 40 days. Yeah.
Look, I am making all things anew. First harvest of grapes is listed as June. If you go back and look at the calendar, you may one it's around Shavuot. Okay. I will take a look in that one. So Passover all the way to Sukkot. Taxidium. Like it. I think we are getting into the same understanding somehow. So let's continue reading this. And so they sent up, here in the 21, so they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Sin as far as Rehob, near the entrance of Hamath. And they went up through the south and came to Hebron, and Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, were there. Now Hebron had been built 7 years before Suan in Mizraim. If we try to put a foreshadow or parallel to what's happening to us, I think it says that the YaHuWaH, it is written, YaHuWaH will be king over all the earth. It's not only over Israel, and we talked about this many weeks ago when we were doing the comparison with the tabernacle and the temple. That even the land of Israel, most probably we can correlate this to the set apart place, the courtyard. But all the rest, maybe it's the world. So could it be that maybe that the YaHuWaH sent us into the world as a kind of spies? Maybe now we are the spying out.
We are seeing.
And we are seeing in the different places we have been sent, how is the land, who is in the land, and so on.
Wow, that's tricky, because then my report, it's not going to be a good one. Well,
it depends on what is your focus.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying this because if we put this correlation,
and maybe that's happened to them too.
That happened to them too as well. They were so afraid of what they saw, but they were unable to see with spiritual eyes.
Yeah.
And
what was behind.
And then we will go to that details on the difference of what they were their focus, because it's important, especially with what we are discussing. But if we think in this theory, in this scenario, that we are the spies and we are spying out the land in different places, because if YaHuWaH is going to be the one being king over all the world, all the land, the entire creation is
belonging to him. Yeah.
Exactly. So if that's the situation, what it means, it is written here that they saw Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, the descendant of Anak. They saw the Nephilim. What is happening in our days? Are we able to see the Nephilim?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not physically,
but
we see
what is happening
the
right
actions,
now, the power of different kind of powers
of the spirit of the Nephilim working at work, in place, in everything that's happening in the world. So again, I'm doing this comparison because we need to understand what should be our heart, just to take as much as we can from this portion, understanding that we are facing a similar situation. We are looking into the land. We have been sent by YaHuWaH, by the king, in order to spy out the land and to bring some fruits. And we are seeing also the descendant of the Nephilim, the giants at work. So from my point of view, and I'm sorry I'm being repetitive because I want to make sure that we are understanding the point that I wanted to make. We are living exactly the same experience. Exactly the same experience. So what's going to be the result of this experience? We can correlate it to the result of the experience of the 12 spies here in the portion. So let me continue reading. It says, "And they came to the Wadi Eshkol and cut down from there a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they bought it between two of them on a pole, also the pomegranates and of the figs. That place was called the Wadi Eshkol because of the cluster which the men of Israel cut down from there. And they returned from spying out the land after 40 days. And they went and came to Moshe and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. And they brought back word to them and to all the congregations and showed them the fruit of the land. And they reported to him and said, We went to the land where you sent us, and truly it flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. But the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are walled, very great. And we saw the descendants of Anak there too. And the Amalekites dwelt in the land of the south, while the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the banks of the Jordan." This is just a parenthesis. It's curious to see that if you think in the current days Israel, who is on those same places?
In the south?
Is the state of Palestine. Is it's in Gaza Strip, because it's in the coast along the sea, and the other one is the West Bank, because it's close to the Jordan. And that's an interesting comparison, by the way. And Caleb silenced the people before Moshe and said, "Let us go up at once and take possession, for we are certainly able to overcome it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." And they gave the children of Israel an evil report of the land which they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we have gone as spies is a land eating up its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size. And we saw there the Nephilim, son of Anak of the Nephilim, and we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in their eyes." So here maybe we can continue what the point that we were making. What do you think they were focusing? And maybe we can answer in our current days.
Yeah, that sometimes maybe we're afraid about the bad use of some things like technology, maybe the bad use of the people who are in charge, maybe the bad use of the, measurements that they're doing. But we are not seeing the other side of the coin, that maybe that has a purpose. And now, I don't know if I'm saying it right or not.
Saying what?
Purpose.
No, you're saying porpoise.
Yeah. Okay. and so...
That's only Annie will understand.
Yeah,
Sorry for
she's
that.
the only one. But sometimes remember when I told you that maybe that's why everything is going to be like concentrated in that structure, because then at some point it's going to be like a kind of a takeover. When everything is settled, it's going to be ready. So then it's going to be taken over by the right king. So maybe we don't see that in everything that is being done today. So we have to study and to try to see with the eyes of YaHuWaH what he is doing, and not to be afraid of the giants that we are going to be facing here.
But I see a very, how to say that, basic difference between what Caleb and Yahushua said, or the focus they had, versus the other 10. Why I'm saying basic, because the first two, they focus on the land in creation, in nature. They didn't
we
focus.
can have it. Yeah.
Yes, they saw it's a land producing
Yeah.
milk and honey. It's a good land. They were focusing more in the natural aspect of the land. The other, they're focusing
in the people,
in the material things,
and
in the people, in the cities, in the system, not in nature.
Yeah.
So if we correlate this to our times, we can bring an evil report as well.
If we are
focusing in what the man-made things. Because everything when we're talking about is man-made. They saw people that were strong. They saw that the strong walls, high walls. They saw that they were the violent people, most probably, and they saw that they were well prepared for war. And maybe they saw violence as well in the streets. So it's exactly everything that we see nowadays. And just take a look here in our country, and then I think you can correlate this in your places as well. We look around and this is disaster after disaster, violence after violence, fightings after fightings. I had the chance to talk to a lady this week, and it was a beautiful experience as well, because suddenly we started to speak of more spiritual things in a context of it shouldn't be like that, but it happened. And we were talking is that we see basically two group of people, and that was part of the discussion, people that are being able to awake, to have this awakening, that they see that life is more related to a spiritual thing. And people that are still asleep, and they don't see it. Everything is from the outside, nothing from the inside. So this is creating a kind of division, and having two type of groups. This is in the two extremes, to say so. And this is creating a lot of violence, and this is creating a lot of struggles in society. Most probably what happened over there, they saw something similar, the violence on the streets. And that's why it depends on how is the situation of our heart. If we truly believe in YaHuWaH, is what our eyes will see. We'll focus ourselves in society, in the system, in material things, or we'll focus and we'll see beyond that on what YaHuWaH has created. So we can be in a similar situation. Are we, Yahushua sent us into the world. Our purpose is to bring the good news. And most probably he's going to ask later, and what is our report?
What are the fruits that you were gathering?
What we saw. So in our day-to-days, and this is something that is a lesson to all of us, and it's not easy, because sometimes I think internally we struggle between having an evil report or a good report, is to be like Caleb or Yahushua, or to be like the other ones. And that fight is here, it's on the mind, it's on the heart, it's internally. So, and this is happening day by day. Are we going to focus on the experiences that the system and society and the world is bringing upon us, or are we going to focus on the real stuff, the real thing, the kingdom of Abba? If we think on the first believers, they were going through persecution. They were going through different struggles. They didn't have a good time. If you want to say so. I saw this video. Who sent us? Was Jane. Yes, Jane sent us a short video. That is a beautiful one. I think it's a pastor of a church. He was sharing the experience of visiting believers in China.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really beautiful.
And it's a beautiful one because they are under so hard persecution, and they are even willing to travel long distance in order to have the chance to gather themselves, to pray, even going to the point to memorize by heart
the
scriptures because the written word,
they couldn't have them because they were
it's
confiscated
and taken away. They were going to prison and staying in prison because of their belief for 2-3 years, and that's why they were memorizing the scriptures during the time. And
they were saying to the pastor, we would like to have the freedom that you have.
Yeah, pray for us to have the freedom the same way that you have the freedom in your countries. And the pastor was saying, no, I cannot pray for that. Because I have to pray that we are more than you, more like you.
Because you have that desire inside of even memorizing the word of YaHuWaH. And we have so many problems to people go and gather maybe to talk about this. They don't have the energy to do it.
So the same situation of the spies is happening to us on a daily basis. Is that we need to make decisions if we're going to bring first. For me, it's a process. Why they brought an evil report is because first they were focusing themselves in the wrong thing. And that awakened fear in their hearts, and fear removed the trust and hope in YaHuWaH. Even though they were able to see all the miracles in the past, their heart was not prepared. So it's a kind of process. It's like sin, It is written in the book of James that the sin started with our senses, going through our eyes, growing in our heart, and then pushing us to commit breaking Torah. So it's the same thing. If our focus will be in the day-to-day, if our focus will be on this is so difficult, we are going to go through struggles, we are going to be persecuted, we see that there is no way out, we see that the system of the world or the system of the beast is increasing and it's getting stronger, and we are so little that we are not going to be able to overcome it until the end. We're going to focus in the wrong place. What we need to focus is in creation, what YaHuWaH has created. What we need to focus in, what YaHuWaH has shown us. If we focus on that without taking a look on what's happening, but with our focus here, we are going to bring a good report. We are going to be able to endure until the end because we are going to have a right heart in front of YaHuWaH, understanding that He is the one guiding us, protecting us, giving us the strength to fight. Don't you think it's a daily thing?
Yeah, it's a daily thing.
It's a daily struggle, it's a daily decision.
And I also called my attention about the fruit that they were bringing, because I was thinking they could bring the grapes, the figs, and the pomegranate. And if you think about that structure, they were finding there grapes that they're a lot of like little balls that are everyone is together in a cluster. And then if you see, they don't have anything that is protecting them. But then you have the fig. And the fig, if you open a fig, you are going to see a lot of tiny things that are completely together. And then if you see the pomegranate is like that. Every little small balls that are together, and they are completely covered by something that is even stronger, like wood. So for me, it was like YaHuWaH is going to keep some people maybe gather in some different ways, connected by something that is really small maybe, but He's going to have them connected. Maybe they're going to be together by something that is like the skin, maybe something like is I don't know, more strong, but He's going to keep those groups of people connected and safe. And when the time is coming, they are going to find it, and they are going to take it like the proof of this is what the land, the creation has to offer, and this is going to be for you at the end. So I think that is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Let's have the continuation story in the chapter 14, because this is basically giving us more insight of what should be our heart. And for me, this chapter is giving us insight of the two alternatives. Is basically, what are the two alternatives? What is the way to enter the kingdom, or what is the way for not entering the kingdom? So you want to read it?
Okay. Then all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept at night. And all the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and against Aaron. And all the congregation said to them, if only we had died in the land of Mizraim, or if only we had died in this wilderness. And why is YaHuWaH bringing us to this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and children should become a prey? Would it not be better for us to turn back to Mizraim? Wow. And they said...
That's for me as an example of the heart was not completely right. They were still with the heart, part of the heart, like the wife of Lot.
Yeah.
In the past.
And maybe even sometimes when we are facing some troubles, sometimes there is a kind of bad voice, I don't know if I can say like that is kind of saying, well, before maybe you didn't have this knowledge, and but you were having maybe a better time. I don't know, something like that. Maybe you are seeing that some people, they are not even worried about what is happening. Maybe they're... So that kind of things are going to come like to bother.
Yes.
Yeah. And why is YaHuWaH bringing us to this land to fall by the sword? I already read. And they said to each other, let us appoint a leader. Let us turn back to Mizraim. Then Moshe and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. And Yahushua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their garments. And they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, the land we passed through to spy it out is an exceedingly good land. If YaHuWaH has delighted in us, then he shall bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which is flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against YaHuWaH, nor feed the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their defense has turned away from them, and YaHuWaH is with us. Do not feed them.
That for me, this is a basic example. And this should be, how to say, this is our inner, sometimes, it's our inner conversation. It's like having these two voices. One voice is saying this, the other voice is saying that. It's our inner dialogue. Is that we need to make sure that the inner dialogue that sometimes we have should be like the one from Yahushua. And when we talk externally, sometimes this is exactly what's happening when we talk to people. And unfortunately, when the heart of the people is not right, no matter that we're bringing with this, we're coming with this word, they're not going to listen to us. And this is exactly what Yahushua was saying, when he was sending the 70s. If you are not being welcome in the house, your peace will go with you.
Yeah, it's going to return, and you are going to need to leave, something like
Correct.
that. It's like you cannot be there.
Or don't throw the pearls to the swines. It's the same thing, That's why everything we do, we need to do it through the guidance of the Ruach. And what it means to do it through the guidance of the Ruach is that we are going to be feeling it here, what we have to do. and the Ruach will insist within us on if what we're doing is on the right direction or is not. And in that moment, we'll need to make a decision. Because sometimes, and we have been talking about this, when we are trying to push for the word for a person that is not prepared to receive it because their heart is
close at the
close,
time. It's hard.
The end result could be even worse. So that's why we need to be so attentive to the word of the Ruach to decide what to do. So for me, this is, again, just to summarize, it's applicable to our own inner dialogue, but also what we should expect to see when we're talking to the world, especially today, and we talked this in the past. When you bring some topic to people that they automatically connected to religious matter, and when they think about religion, they close themselves immediately. So and why? Because of many things. But the point is that currently the field we are working at this time, in this season, in this generation, the field is a very rocky field. It's very rocky. But that doesn't mean that there is a good field, good soil. And that's why we need to move ahead. No matter that it's rocky, that we can, stumble somehow or a rock is trying to make us fall down. We are not going to fall down because if we are doing the will of YaHuWaH, He is going to protect us. But the point is that no matter that we see that the field is a rocky one, is a not good field, we know that there are going to be good soil. And it's our duty. It's our duty to go ahead and look for that good soil in order to bring the seed of the word of YaHuWaH.
Yeah, maybe YaHuWaH is going to remove that kind of rocks at one point, and He's going to make us return to that place, and we are going to find it a more easy place to put some kind of seed or trying to do something or helping.
Yes. By the way, I just saw the comment from Karen here, and this is something that has been in my head and heart for a while. Let me read. It says, it's so easy to get caught up in all the bad news of what is being done.
Yeah.
Let us be set apart and remembering to count our blessing. Our El sees, our El loves us, our El wants to bless us. And that's true. Sometimes I read this some years ago, and it sounded to me kind of funny. It wasn't resonated within me that much. The topic was about fasting, and fasting for me is to restrain somehow, is to separate sometimes, and mostly connected to restrain ourselves from food and water, drink. But the comment that I saw was in a book. I was reading this book saying that we can even fast from other things, like television, like news, like cell phones and so on. I said, the scripture doesn't talk about that. But, I've been thinking on this lately and connected to what Karen said. Maybe it's not a bad idea. Sometimes we need to do a kind of fasting of technology. We need to do a kind of fasting of
News.
We need to do a kind of fasting of having the cell phones in our hands so often, or television, or whatever it is. And what I mean by fasting of this is to remove ourselves from the system of the world, not to let those things to create emotional or spiritual struggle within us. Is to focus ourselves on what is important. And because it's so easy to be dragged into those things that is becoming our focus. It's like the spies, we need to focus on what it matters from the word of YaHuWaH, what it matters from the important things from the establishment of the kingdom of Allah here on earth. So maybe it's not a bad idea. I'm planning to do something like that. We haven't not talked about this, but I think you should think about this. You should think that We need to spend more of our time and on the word of YaHuWaH, meditating, praying, doing fasting of the food in order to get our spirit stronger in connection to the Ruach of Elohim. But it's not a bad idea to... It's like Yahushua, he was removing himself from the crowds and going to the wilderness. That was part of the discussion with the lady this week as well. Going into the wilderness to find a space of set apart place just to have a connection with Allah.
Yeah.
And we can do that maybe not in the same way, and let me put it in other words. By following the world as is working today is not giving us the opportunity in a day-to-day basis to have this kind of separation. We are being dragged and pulled into some things that we don't have the space that we need in order to have our mind and our heart connected to Allah, close to Allah. So that's why, doing this separation in the same way that Yahushua was separating himself from the crowds, I think is a much needed things to do in these times. Kind of fasting.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Do you remember?
Yes, I remember. You need to continue in the verse 10.
Okay.
So Yahushua was speaking.
Okay.
If YaHuWaH delighted on us, it's a good land. Let's go on. He was bringing the good news. It's the good news of the land. Come listen to the good news. We are well prepared. We have a strong El. YaHuWaH will fight for us. Don't rebel against that. Don't fear.
Yeah, don't fear them.
They are our bread.
Yeah.
What it means that they're our bread,
That at the end is going to be the meaning.
It's easy peasy.
But all the congregation said to stone them with the stones. Then the steam of YaHuWaH appeared in the tent of appointment before all the children of Israel. And YaHuWaH said to Moshe, how long shall I be scorned by these people? And how long shall I not be trusted by them? With all the signs which I have done in their midst, let me strike them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and make of you a greater nation and mightier than they. And Moshe said to YaHuWaH, then the Mizrites shall hear it, for by your power you brought these people up from their midst. And they shall say to the inhabitants of their land, they have heard that you, YaHuWaH, are in the midst of these people, that you, YaHuWaH, are seen eye to eye, and that your cloud stands above them, and you go before them in a column of cloud by day, and in a column of fire by night. Now if you shall kill these people as one man, then these nations, which have heard of your report, shall speak, saying, because YaHuWaH was not able to bring these people to the land which he swore to give them, therefore he slew them in the wilderness. And now I pray, let the power of YaHuWaH be great, as you have spoken, saying, YaHuWaH is patient and of great loving commitment, forgiving crookedness and transgression, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the crookedness of their fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation. Please forgive the crookedness of these people, according to the greatness of your loving commitment, as you have forgiven these people from Mizraim even until now.
So, I think it's a perfect example of being a good negotiator.
Yeah.
He was negotiating with
he was doing a kind of using the psychological point of view, like
correct.
Yeah.
And for me, every time that I read this one, I wonder, he was so bold on how he was speaking to YaHuWaH, and I think that boldness is being created because of the closeness.
Yeah, that they have. Yeah, because it was like a friend.
Yes.
He was talking to a friend. Yeah, and it was beautiful because he had that kind of confidence that he can speak what is coming from his heart and remember all the conversation that they had before, because he's telling him, well, YaHuWaH is patient and is forgiven. So you are like that. He was asking YaHuWaH to see this is your good side. Let your good side overcome the bad side. So, because he knew that he has the power to delete and erase and do anything at one point.
This is a
But
great example how
he was asking mercy.
this is a great example how to change a no for a yes.
Yeah.
And no, it was it's a very good example, and it should give us somehow boldness as well to speak to our like a daddy, and to try to use these ways in order to convince him to help us sometimes in difficult situations, because at the end everything is for us and from for him and from him.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what Moshe did.
Yeah.
You brought these people out. What's the rest of the nations are going to say about you?
Yeah.
You were unable to bring them to the place.
And he was talking about truth, because he was saying, please forgive these people, because they have been crooked even from the time that you took them from Israel until now. So he knew that the people were not perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And YaHuWaH said, I shall forgive according to your word. But truly, as I live, and all the earth is filled with the esteem of YaHuWaH, for none of these men who have seen my esteem and the signs which I did in Mizraim and in the wilderness, and have tried me now these 10 times, and have disobeyed my voice, shall see the land of which I swore to the fathers, nor any of those who scorned me see it. Wow. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit in him and has followed me completely, I shall bring into the land where he went, and his seed shall inherit it. Since the Amalekites and the Canaanites are dwelling in the valley, turn back tomorrow and set out in the wilderness by the way of the Sea of Reeds. And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, how long shall this evil congregation have this grumbling against me? I have heard the grumblings which the children of Israel are grumbling against me. Say to them, as I live, declares YaHuWaH, as you have spoken in my hearing, so I do to you. The carcasses of you who have grumbled against me are going to fall in this wilderness. All of you who were registered, according to your entire number, from 20 years old and above, none of you except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Yahushua, son of Nun, shall enter the land which I swore I would make you dwell in. But your little ones, whom you said would become a prey, I shall bring in, and they shall know the land which you have rejected. But as for you, your carcasses are going to fall in this wilderness, and your sons shall be wanderers in the wilderness 40 years, and shall bear your horns, until your carcasses are consumed in the wilderness, according to the numbers of the days in which you spied out the land, 40 days, a day for a year, a day for a year. You are to bear your crookedness 40 years, and you shall know my breaking off. I am YaHuWaH. I have spoken, I shall do this to all this evil congregation who are meeting against me. In this wilderness they are consumed, and there they die.
Wow, very strong word.
Yeah.
And here we see what I was saying is what is the way to enter the kingdom, what is the way not to enter the kingdom. And this is two different mindset, two different hearts. So we can resume this in two words: disobedience, obedience. Disobedience, and we see some of the characteristics. It says to try Elohim. It said they have been trying me 10 times.
Yeah.
They disobey his voice. They scorn him. We saw this wording in this basically when the YaHuWaH was answering Moshe. So basically that's the way of disobedience. And what happened to them is punishment, death, even though that they were able to
see the miracles before, because they were seeing it.
Yes, and not only to see the miracles, they participated. They were part of the assembly.
Yeah.
They were receiving and were able to listen to the voice of YaHuWaH in the Mount Sinai. They saw all the they hear the trumpets. They saw the lightnings and so on.
They received the manna, the food, the water that they need, everything.
So they were part of the body of the assembly, but they have a different heart. In the other side of in the other corner, we see obedience. And what's the obedience is basically what is written for the Caleb. Is it's here. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit. So those are the keys to understand how to be obedient, how to enter into the kingdom, to have a different spirit. What else? Has followed me completely. Just follow him completely in everything he does and he says. And the last thing is that, and I shall bring it to the land. It's not written here directly, but it says, trust in him. And why? Because he said, okay, we can win this battle. We can destroy these people. We can conquer the land. He was trusting in YaHuWaH in the same way that Yehoshua ben Nun was doing.
He was not this kind of bad person that they said, but I don't agree with this, but I don't believe that this complaining. When we're complaining, we are being like the rest of the people.
Absolutely.
When we are seeing more problems, that just do what YaHuWaH is telling us. If he said, okay, you have to jump, well, we have to jump.
So let's read again from 6 to 9. It says, and Yehoshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Yefuneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their garments. And they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, the land we passed through to spy it out is an exceedingly good land. If YaHuWaH has delighted in us, then we shall bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which is flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against YaHuWaH, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their defense has turned away from them, and YaHuWaH is with us. Do not fear them. So that's an example of a different spirit, because the spirit, the Ruach of Elohim, was within them. And when we talk about follow him completely, because that was one of the examples of Caleb, we see a beautiful example, I think, is in the book of Luke. Let's go to chapter 9 of the book of Luke. Let's read the verse 57 to 62. And it says, and it came to be as they journeyed on the way, that someone said to him, to Yahushua HaMashiach, Master, I shall follow you wherever you go. And Yahushua said to him, the foxes have holes and the birds of the heaven nests, but the son of Adam has nowhere to lay his head. And he said to another, follow me. But he said, Master, let me first go and bury my father. And Yahushua said to him, let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and announce the reign of Elohim. And another also said, Master, I shall follow you, but let me first say goodbye to those in my house. But Yahushua said to him, no one having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the reign of Elohim. Wow. This is to the point. If you have put your hand to the plow, you cannot look back. It's exactly, what the people did here. Why we are here? We were so good in Mitzrayim. You brought us here in order to die, and our kids are going to be devoured by these great nations. This is not trusting in Allah. And this is exactly what Yahushua was saying here. So the difference of the two mindset and the two hearts is quite clear, is obedience to YaHuWaH and his word, meaning following him completely, believing in him, trusting in him, have a different spirit with the spirit and the Ruach of Elohim within us. That's the way of obedience. The ways of disobedience, that's basically is gonna forbid us to enter into the kingdom, is trying YaHuWaH. It's not complaining, not trusting in Him. It's disobeying His voice. It's to scorn Him. And how we scorn Him is by not believing in Him, by doing everything that is going against to what He says.
And maybe when we trust in what somebody else is saying and not approaching to Him and ask Him to give us even more courage to do something.
Absolutely. And that's why, it's so important to see what we have been talking here in the past about the two-step salvation. Because all of them were saved by grace, by favor. They were removed from slavery, from bondage, from Mizraim, not because they were a great people, because of the love and compassion of YaHuWaH and the covenant. That's the way it is written. The covenant and the oath, the vow He made with Abraham, with Isaac, with Jacob. So they joined and they were able to participate in the first step of salvation. But the second step of salvation, they failed. They were unable to enter the kingdom, the first generation.
And we could fail by the same reasons if we are not taking care about those.
And the second step of salvation is about obedience.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we see here. It's about obedience. If we are obedient to the ways of YaHuWaH, and the description of obedience is exactly what we said: have a different spirit, follow Him completely, is to trust in Him in everything. We are going to be able to join and participate in the full salvation, in the second step, in order to conquer and to enter into the kingdom. I think that's, for me, the main takeaway of this chapter, this portion.
And the other thing, because you commented, and I also have it written, that is really interesting, because one, Yahushua, was coming from Ephraim. In Caleb was coming from the tribe of Yehuda. And seeing that the two were the ones that were being the two witnesses, and being the from the two sticks.
That's a beautiful picture, yes, because one represents Yehuda, the other one Ephraim, is the two sticks, the two trees in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37. It could be somehow the foreshadow of the two witnesses in the book of Revelation. But it's exactly, at the point that we have the two houses being obedient, believing in YaHuWaH. Ephraim representing the 10 tribes, and Yehuda representing the other two. They are, as soon as they have that right heart, the right spirit, following Him completely, trusting in YaHuWaH completely, they are going to be joined together by the hand of Yahushua. And this is exactly what Yahushua started 2,000 years ago, and He's still doing it. And it's part of our responsibility too. He sent us out in order to bring the lost sheep of the house of Israel, in order to bring them completely to obedience. Having the Ruach, that's why He sent the Ruach of Elohim, in order to change this heart of stone and to put a new heart of flesh, a new Ruach within us, in order to follow the ways of YaHuWaH. That's the description of the new covenant. He is doing everything for us in order to guide us to follow His Torah. So at the moment that will happen, everything will go to mile zero. To start all over again with the kingdom of YaHuWaH. So let's continue, verse 36.
Okay, and the men whom Moshe sent to spy out the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble against him by bringing an evil report of the land. Even those men who brought the evil report about the land died by the plague before YaHuWaH. Of those men who went to spy out the land, only Yahushua son of Nun and Caleb son of Yehunneh remained alive. And when Moshe spoke these words to all the children of Israel, the people mourned greatly. And they rose up early in the morning and went up to the top of the mountain, saying, See, we have indeed sinned, but we shall go up to the place which YaHuWaH has spoken of. But Moshe said, Why do you now transgress the mouth of YaHuWaH, since it does not prosper?
Wow, that's a tricky scenario.
Yeah, because now they wanted to do it, but now it's too late.
Yes.
Because it was at the moment.
And
It was when he was asking.
Why I'm saying this is a tricky scenario, because sometimes we can be convinced that we are being obedient, but it's the opposite.
Yeah.
We are being disobedient. It was too late, as you said, but they thought that they were being obedient to YaHuWaH. I'm sorry, I forgot. They didn't do it.
Now I'm brave. Now I can do it.
They were not obedient on the time, in the right timing. They were out of time. But they thought that they were being obedient. But because they thought that they were being obedient, they were becoming even more disobedient.
Yeah. And Moshe was telling them. And do not go out, lest you be smitten by your enemies, for YaHuWaH is not in your midst. Because the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have turned away from YaHuWaH, and YaHuWaH is not with you. But they presumed to go up to the mountaintop, but neither the ark of the covenant of YaHuWaH nor Moshe left the camp. So the Amalekites and the Canaanites who dwell in that mountain came down and struck them, and beat them down, even to Hormah.
So that's the difference between being obedient and disobedient. When we're obedient, YaHuWaH will be with us. We have nothing to fear.
Yeah.
Everything will be for good. When we're disobedient, He's not with us.
And we cannot do anything.
Correct.
By ourselves.
Yes, He's the one opening the doors. He's opening the doors for us to act according to His will.
Yeah.
But this is a good lesson to all of us, how not to lose our crown of life. When we see this in the book of Revelation, and James is also talking about this. So obedience or disobedience. And what is interesting, I didn't want to stop you there, is that who remain alive is the generation from 0 to
20 years old.
Or 19 years old.
Yeah, 19, yeah.
Because, the generation that was going to die on the wilderness during these 40 years were the ones from 20, the ones that were in the census.
Yeah.
They were the ones that were registered. It's from 20 onward.
Yeah.
So when the scripture is talking about the children of Israel, somehow it's speaking literally about children, because it was until the youth. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you need to have some people taking care and also helping with the stuff there.
And that's the only two exceptions was Caleb and Yahushua ben Nun, but all the rest were the youth.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important that we should guide the youth on the ways of YaHuWaH. Let's move on. Let's go to chapter 15. It's my time?
Your time.
So it says, and YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe, saying, we're going to read completely, but we're going to focus most probably on the last part, because he is talking about the offerings. Okay? Unless you want to comment something here. I will read it anyways, okay? And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you have come into the land of your dwellings, which I am giving you, and you make an offering by fire to YaHuWaH, and an ascending offering or a slaughtering to accomplish a vow or a voluntary offering, or in your appointed times, to make a sweet fragrance to YaHuWaH from the herd or the flock, then he who brings near his offering to YaHuWaH shall bring near a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil, and 1/4 of a hin of wine as a drink offering, you prepare with the ascending offering or the slaughtering for each lamb. Or for a ram, you prepare as a grain offering 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/3 of a hin of oil. And as a drink offering, you bring 1/3 of a hin of wine as a sweet fragrance to YaHuWaH. And when you prepare a young bull as an ascending offering, or as a slaughtering to accomplish a vow, or as a peace offering to YaHuWaH, then shall be brought with the young bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/2 a hin of oil. And bring as the drink offering 1/2 a hin of wine, as an ascending offering made by fire as a sweet fragrance to YaHuWaH. This is what is done for each young bull, for each ram, and for each lamb or young goat, according to the number that you prepare for, so you do for each one according to their number. Let all who are native do so with them, in bringing near an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to YaHuWaH. And when a stranger sojourns with you, or whoever is among you throughout your generations, and would make an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to YaHuWaH, as you do, so he does. One law is for you of the assembly, and for the stranger who sojourns with you, a law forever throughout your generations. As you are, so is the stranger before YaHuWaH. One Torah and one right ruling is for you and for the stranger who sojourns with you. So, more clear is impossible. The intention of Abba from always is that his Torah is for everybody.
It's not just for a group of people.
Yes, it's for everybody. He wants to bring the entire world into his ways, the ways of righteousness. That's why it's so beautiful when we see the prophecies of the end times, when it says that the righteousness will fill the earth. And what's righteousness is his ways, his commandments, his Torah, his instruction. And we see it clearly here.
Yeah.
So it says, and YaHuWaH in the 17 spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land to which I bring you, then it shall be when you eat of the bread of the land that you present a contribution to YaHuWaH. Present a cake of the first of your dough as a contribution, a terumah. As a contribution of the threshing floor you present it. Of the first of your dough you are to give to YaHuWaH a contribution throughout your generations. And this is interesting, you know, I think this is totally connected to the feast of Shavuot. Because it's when they're bringing the fruits of the soil, the grains, is the wheat. You know, we got to the understanding these times is that Reshit Katzir, the first of the harvest, is when they started the harvest of the barley, and then in continuation with the harvest of the wheat. And they're presenting all of this in Shavuot as the first fruits. And we see this beautiful picture and story in the story of Ruth about the harvest of the barley and the harvest of the wheat. So most probably when it's talking about here about the contribution of the dough is somehow connected to the offering on during Shavuot. Okay, and then here we enter into an interesting topic, you know, and most probably we are gonna stop here for a bit more. It's about sin. And why I'm saying this is in this portion I see clearly the definition of sin. And this is one of the biggest mistakes in Christianity, is that not understanding what's the definition of sin, because at the moment you understand what sin is, it's impossible not to understand that Torah is applicable to us, that we need to follow Torah. Just having the understanding of the definition of sin, and we see it in many places throughout the scriptures, only that truth is helping us to understand the importance of keeping Torah in these times. So let's continue reading in the verse 22. It says, and when you sin by mistake and do not do all these commands which YaHuWaH has spoken to Moshe. So that's the description. What is sin?
Not doing.
Not to do all these commands which YaHuWaH has spoken to Moshe. Where we find these commands? In Torah, in what is being called the Old Testament, the Tanakh, the Torah, in the first 5 books. So not doing that is basically sin. But we have 2 different types of sins. In this case, talking about by mistake.
By mistake.
It's in ignorance. And the other one is
when you do it with knowing that you are
with
transgressing.
being cautious, doing it, you know, in purpose. All that YaHuWaH has commanded you by the hand of Moshe, from the day YaHuWaH gave command and onward throughout your generations. So it's expanding even more. It's everything that YaHuWaH has given Moshe is by the hand of Moshe. What was in the hand of Moshe?
It was the Torah.
First,
and it was the 10 words.
Because the table of stones
Yeah.
is the 10 words. From the day YaHuWaH gave command and onward throughout your generations. So it's not only the 10 words, it's everything that YaHuWaH gave through Moshe, and not only through Moshe. And we'll see this in a minute. Then it shall be, if it is done by mistake, without the knowledge of the congregation, that all the congregation shall prepare one young bull as an ascending offering, as a sweet fragrance to YaHuWaH, with its grain offering and its drink offering according to the right ruling, and one male goat as a sin offering. Then the priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of the children of Israel, and it shall be forgiven them, for it was by mistake. And they shall bring their offering, an offering made by fire to YaHuWaH, and their sin offering before YaHuWaH for their mistake. And it shall be forgiven all the congregation of the children of Israel, and the stranger who sojourns in their midst, because all the people did it by mistake.
Yeah, because that was the whole congregation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's continue reading just to see the other type of sin. And if a being sins by mistake, then he shall bring a female goat. This is for the individual, a year old as a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for the being who strays by mistake. Then when he sins by mistake before YaHuWaH to make atonement for him, for it shall be forgiven him. For him who does whatever by mistake, there is one Torah, both for him who is native among the children of Israel, and for the stranger who sojourns in their midst. But the being who does whatever defiantly, whether he is native or stranger, he reviles YaHuWaH, and that being shall be cut off from among his people, because he has despised the word of YaHuWaH and has broken his command. This is, a reinforcement of the definition of sin. Despising the word of YaHuWaH, breaking his command, that being shall certainly be cut off. His crookedness is upon him. So, having this understanding, we can connect two things. It's what we said a minute ago. Is about disobedience, the ways to enter the kingdom and the ways not to enter the kingdoms. It's obedience versus disobedience. What was on the heart of the people was the world. They were disobedient. They didn't follow YaHuWaH completely, even though, as we said, they were part of the assembly. They were joining the first step salvation. They participated in everything that YaHuWaH did for the entire people. And this is exactly what Yahushua is reinforcing in Matthew chapter 7, I think, when the people is coming to him saying, but Adon, we have been doing everything this for you. We have been healing the sick. We have been casting out demons. We have been preaching and spreading the good news. And what Yahushua is answering them is that I never knew you.
Yeah.
I don't know you. You who break Torah without law, without Torah. So it's exactly the same thing. Knowing the definition of sin is basically disobedience to Allah. And connecting it to the portion, we can be we can partake of the assembly. But if our heart is like the heart of the group that were the disobedience, we are not going to inherit the kingdom. So it's all together. We cannot be in one place here or believing only this and not believing the other part. It's just one thing. It's complete belief. So we see here the definition of sin, and also we see two type of sins. Is by mistake of doing it in purpose with conscience. And the first one is in ignorance, and the other one is knowing what to do. So I have a few notes here that maybe we can share it quickly, and we are in the 31. Okay, let's go to the book of John, 1 John, chapter 2. verse 1 and 2, it says, "My little children, I write this to you so that you do not sin. And if anyone sins, we have an intercessor with the Father, YaHuWaH Mashiach, a righteous one. And he himself is an atoning offering for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for all the world." So the invitation is not to sin anymore.
Yeah.
But if we sin, okay, we have somebody that is going to advocate for us.
Yeah.
But this is a specific type of sin.
By mistake.
By mistake, it's by ignorance. And there is something else in the chapter 1, verse 9. Let's see. "If we confess our sins, he's trustworthy and righteous to forgive us the sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness." So YaHuWaH is our atoning offering in order to forgive us in our sins, of our sins. But let's see the other type of sins, and we see it in the same book here. So let's go to the chapter 3, verse 6 to 9. It says, "Everyone staying in him does not sin. Everyone sinning has neither seen him nor known him. Little children, let no one lead you astray. The one doing righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. The one doing sin is of the devil, because the devil has sinned from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of Elohim was manifested to destroy the works of the devil." So there are different types of sin, and actually if you read I think it's the chapter 5, it's talking about the sin by mistake and it's sin of death. I don't have it here in my notes, but you can read the chapter 5 and you will see here. "If anyone sees his brother sinning a sin not unto death, he shall ask, and he shall give him life for those not sinning unto death. That is a sin unto death. I do not say that he should pray about that." So it's talking, when you read this in context, it's talking about the two types of sin. Because the entire book of Yehohanan Aleph, 1 John, is talking about sin. You know, we have an advocate, but it's also the invitation not to sin. But also it's talking about the sin by mistake, and it's talking about the committing sin is basically not knowing him or the being of the devil. But this is exactly the difference of doing it by ignorance and then doing it knowing. If we do it knowing, being conscious, we are doing it because we don't know him, because we are working the works of the devil, of darkness. And that is a sin of death. Okay? So this is an important aspect that we should consider. And the beautiful thing here is that the definition of sin is not to do all these commandments directly from the Tanakh, from the Old Testament. It's not to do all the commandments of YaHuWaH. And something that I like the most is that Mashiach says that the Ruach will reveal to us all truth.
Yeah.
He will make us remember everything that he said. So is the Ruach the one that is going to guide us to know that we are doing something by mistake or not? You know, I will share with you a story, something that happened to me, and I felt really bad when I knew what was going on. Many years ago, I was traveling a lot to Mexico, and in Mexico City, and I went to a restaurant to eat something that was close by to the hotel, and I asked something that they use a lot of pork and in the Mexican food.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, here as
And
well.
now we have realized.
So I was asking something very simple that I knew that the ingredients was not having pork. And they offered me they put something inside. Okay, they ¿cómo se llama? Chicharrones. I don't know how to say, but it's
It's kind of when you the grass is the grass, or what is the name of it?
It's kind of fat.
It's
but,
the fat when it's being born,
Yes.
and you use it with bread and things like that.
So I wasn't aware that there was they brought this it was avocado and things like that, and I started to eat, and I took some of these chicharrones and I ate them,
Okay.
and something inside me wasn't feeling well. I felt something. This is not right. It's a very difficult to explain because you felt something. I started to eat it. I'm feeling this. No, I'm not gonna eat this anymore. And I asked the guy that was attending the place, and asked him, what is it? What is it about? What is this?
What is the ingredient?
The ingredient. And he was telling me it's pork.
Wow.
I felt so bad inside me because I should ask before. So praying for forgiveness at that time, but it was a good lesson for me in different aspects. Because first we need to ask, and second, because I felt something within me. It was the Ruach telling me this is not right. This is not right, and that's why, because I felt that, I stopped. Maybe I was going to eat the entire dish and the entire food, but because I felt the Ruach telling me, it was a feeling, it's not a voice, it was a feeling that it was not right, I stopped it and I asked. So what I'm trying to say, and how all of this story started, is that it's exactly what the YaHuWaH said. The Ruach will guide us in all things. The only thing that we need to be attentive of what he's putting in our heart in order to know if we are following the way of YaHuWaH, if we are keeping the commandments, or it is something that maybe we are doing in ignorance that is making us to break some of the commandments. It's a beautiful, just saw the comment from Daniel. It's beautiful. We need to be attentive to the Ruach talking to us.
Yeah.
And regarding, you want to say something?
No, it was that it is also proven that that with little children, they realize when they are doing something that is not okay. They feel that, and they're going to be hidden doing that.
Yep.
So usually that's why parents, they're always worried when they don't hear them anymore playing or things like that, and because they are knowing, they have this inside knowledge that Abba is putting on us, that is our conscience, that is telling you, no, that's not okay. And the problem is that we do not stop doing that, then something is going to be removed, and then the person is not going to realize.
It's what we talked yesterday, you remember? When you go into step in a little bit into the darkness, then it's going to be much easier to go into even more darkest place.
Yeah.
And going back is very difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's a seed that is going to your heart.
Yeah.
You are going to be bold in order to break even more the commandments of YaHuWaH. That's why we need to be set apart. We need to depart from those things.
Yeah.
Coming back to what it says about sin, about sin by mistakes and so on, is that the definition that we were reading is that everything that was given to Moshe, and from throughout all the generations onward, and I like this passage so much because it's giving us more insight of what YaHuWaH did and reinforcing the idea of what we are talking about. And this is in the book of John, chapter 5, verse 44, and this is a discussion between Mashiach and the Pharisees. So it says the following: how are you able to believe, YaHuWaH talking to them, how are you able to believe when you are receiving steam from one another, and the steam that is from the only Elohim you do not seek? Do not think that I shall accuse you to the Father. There is one who accuses you. And this, I can imagine the eyes of the Pharisees when they were listening to these words, like these big eyes. Who is the one accusing them? Moses, in whom you have set your expectation. And this is the critical thing that the YaHuWaH is bringing to them. For if you believe Moshe, you would have believed me, since he wrote about me. But if you do not believe his writings, how should you believe my words? So, in a simple sentence and simple words, what Yahushua is saying, what I'm telling you is the same thing that Moshe told you. If you believe Moshe, you should believe in me. If you believe in me, you should believe Moshe. There's no separation.
No contradiction. Yeah.
No contradiction, is the same message. So that's why, we need to follow what YaHuWaH gave us through Moshe, what YaHuWaH gave us through his servants, what YaHuWaH gave us through Yahushua, what YaHuWaH is bringing to us through the Ruach, remembering us everything that he has given to us, to his people, through his servants throughout history. That's a good way to see it from my point of view. So let's go back to the chapter 15 just to finish the portion. And I think we are right on time. It says, in the verse 32, and while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Shabbat day. And those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moshe and to Aaron and to all the congregation. And they put him in under guard, because it had not been declared what should be done to him. And YaHuWaH said to Moshe, the man shall certainly be put to death, all the congregation stoning him with stones outside the camp. And all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him with stones as YaHuWaH commanded Moshe, and he died. So let me put something straightforward here. Is YaHuWaH in the business of killing people?
No.
So why he allowed this to happen?
I'm always was thinking that it was like it was such an horrible situation that it was like remove the sin immediately. And so the people who were going to be the one stoning the rest, they are going to feel and to realize and to avoid that for the future. I thought that it was like when you want to set a precedent, but the most big one, so they don't do it again. So that's the idea, to remove it from the root cause.
Yeah, I think that's a good word. I do believe that this is exactly what happened to. No, it's not bad. Not bad. I think there's another angle also to see it. YaHuWaH himself, he's not going to break his word. It's again obedience and disobedience. YaHuWaH said, this is going to happen to you if you disobey the voice, my voice and my word. He's not going to change that because he's breaking his own word. Who was the one breaking here? Who was the one making the mistake? It was YaHuWaH?
No, it was the person
He knew already. And this is totally connected to what we were reading before. He knew about the consequences of breaking and being disobedient. They were in a situation of rebellion. That was the mindset of the people. I think it wasn't, it doesn't say the word, but I'm going to assume, it's my assumption, that it wasn't the children. Most probably was part of the one registered. Was part of that generation that were rebellious against YaHuWaH.
Yeah.
So it was an act of rebellion once again. And he did it exactly knowing what he was doing and the consequence of doing. Is YaHuWaH was going to break his own word? Not at all. He was faithful. He said, and he will do what he said he will do.
And it was just after it was mentioned the difference between the sins that are by mistake and the one that you're going to do differently.
And that's why, this story, from my point of view, is totally connected to the next one. And I'm gonna and the second one is a part of compassion. I'm gonna tell something that is funny, but I think that's the way that YaHuWaH is thinking as well. Yesterday I was to get my kids, and Angela was telling me, I just finished this one, I need more time, and I answered her, okay, you have 5 minutes. And she told me, but please have compassion. Yes, I will give you 5 minutes with compassion. and love. And she took more time than 5 minutes, but that's okay. But what's the point? YaHuWaH always is a compassionate El. He always wants to give us of his love and compassion, but he also needs to be truthful and faithful to what he said.
Yeah, because if he doesn't do it, what is going to happen?
He's breaking everything.
And then people are going to try and to try and to be, okay, we didn't receive the punishment, so we can do it again.
Correct. So why I'm bringing this this funny story is that he was truthful and faithful to what he said. He couldn't move a centimeter to what he said, because if not, he's setting the bad example of he himself breaking his own word. But he needed to allow this to happen. But what he did next is acting in compassion. And what he gave us is that it's it.
Yeah.
And with what idea, what purpose?
For those who
forget. Is to give us an additional way
to remember.
To remember, not to break his word. For this not to happen again. So let's read about the tzitzit. And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them to make tzitzit on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue cord in the tzitzit of the corners. And it shall be to you for a tzitzit, and you shall see it. And here's the key. You shall see it, and shall remember all the commands of YaHuWaH, and shall do them, and not search after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you weren't whoring. What's the purpose of the tzitzit? It's an act of love and compassion of Abba. It's not to put a burden on us. It's just to tell us, and giving you an additional physical evidence at the time that you are seeing, that you need to remember not to follow your own heart and your own mind or your own eyes. You need to follow me completely, as Caleb and Yahushua. So that you remember and shall do all my commands and be set apart unto your Elohim. I am YaHuWaH, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Israel to be your Elohim. I am YaHuWaH, your Elohim. So what YaHuWaH wants from us is to love him. And love him means to follow him completely, to believe in him,
He wants us to be alive. He is offering us the life that he gave us with him before.
And he wants us, his children, us to be like him.
Return to him. Being capable of reach that state where we are going to be able to be in his presence again.
Yeah, absolutely.
No more separation.
So any final words? No? It was a good portion. I like this story because it's given us so much insight of what should do, how we should act, what should be our heart, how to follow YaHuWaH. And also, in the other angle, is what we have to avoid. What are the things we should not do? What we have to do and what we have not to do.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Yes.
Like the rules of the house. So
absolutely.
be obedient to that.
So we are going to take a few minutes to read the chat. So you have any question, something you want to ask about the portion, go ahead. If you have any comment, go ahead. We're just taking a look in the chat. And also put your prayer request here. Exactly. Thank you, Karen. So you can send in the link that Karen just put in the chat, or just put your prayer request here on in the chat. Yeah, and Annie liked what you said. He wants to be alive.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Pray for those missing in fellowship today. Yes, we need to pray for many people.
Yeah.
And I will ask you to like this video, just to maybe this message is going to more people. I see 27 likes and 54 of you connected. I have everything under my control. I can see everything you're doing. Just kidding. So go ahead and like this video so more people will see it. Okay? Please pray for my children, Sister Ben. We will do. we'll do. If you want to share more info with us on how we should pray for them, that will be even more important. Okay. So we know what to pray about.
Yeah.
JJ, would like to know, it's good to know that you love your tzitzit. Tzitzit is so good, you know. It's a starting point for discussion and conversation with people too.
Yeah, sometimes I think that some people who doesn't love YaHuWaH is because of what is with the eyes that they see him. And sometimes it's also because they are missing some part of the story that are not being told to them completely. And they are just hearing what the world has to offer to them. And they are providing a bad image of our Abba. But I think that when we are providing them through our actions, through our words of love, maybe sometimes, and we are with our prayers, are going to be more helpful than trying to convince them. Usually the time that everybody is a youth is when they are going out. They are going out and far away from Abba. But there is going to be some point in their lives when they're going to feel that they need and they cannot have any other help. And then they are going to be ready for the moment that Abba is going to put the seeds on them. And they are going to have that encounter. So we have to pray for that moment. For they have that willingness. Maybe now they're filling that empty space with some other things, but there is going to be a moment that they're going to receive and want to have the real thing in their lives.
Good. There was a question from Yerash here. Let me see. Did the Levi priest die in the wilderness? What I'm aware is that Aaron died in the wilderness, but the rest we had the continuation of the priesthood of Aaron. Okay, we have Eleazar and then Pinchas that were receiving the Kehunah.
Yeah, maybe
the priesthood
that's
for always.
why there is a moment when some are aging and the other one that were younger, they were almost 20 years old. They were ready in the moments that Aaron died.
Yes. And so we will be praying for your son, Sister Payne. And I know we need to be, it's exactly as we were discussing in this portion. Is YaHuWaH the one changing the heart, and he is answering the prayers of his people. We just need to be patient. He knows the right timing.
And YaHuWaH bless you too, Daniel.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good to see you here. And Lela.
Brigida Rojas as well. Many blessings for you.
Bridget, Brigida, Lela.
We'll call you later. Okay, so let's keep it until here. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a blessing, we're smiling, though we're not smiling that much before the broadcast, but now we're smiling, especially you. So it's good to have this time together, and really hope that the insights that Abba was putting in our heart is blessing you as well. Continue in the word, continue studying, and I hope to see you next week, and in continuation of the book of Bemidbar. And remember, we are gonna continue with this new timing, as I said at the beginning. So I hope to see you all here next week. Have a wonderful week, a blessed week, a blessed continuation of Shabbat. YaHuWaH be with you all. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Bye.
גדולים ונפלאים מעשיך אדוני, אלוהי צבאות, צדק ואמת דרכיך אלוהים, מלך הגויים. גדולים ונפלאים מעשיך אדוני, אלוהי צבאות, חרבו לפניך